Hello my dear friends, you're on the Military Summary channel, and today we will discuss the situation in Ukraine on the 13th of December of 2023. Today we have a lot of very interesting updates, so let's start. But if you want to hear my opinion, I would like to tell you that today probably was the craziest day, and this situation is completely connected with the Western authorities, with the top level, let's say, and very important people. For example, the most important updates are coming from the United States of America, where the Congress of United States of America started the investigation against the son of Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, regarding his connections with different illegal things, and they want to find the connections between Joe Biden and the activity and business of Hunter Biden, and to start the impeachment process against the current president of the United States of America. So the world is getting crazy, obviously. Another very big, the biggest scandal ever, as I remember, is coming from the European Union Parliament, from Brussels. As you know, today Ursula von der Leyen was talking about some things. She had a speech in the European Union Parliament, and after she finished her speech, then somebody turned on the microphone, on the sound, and people were able to hear how the dog were barking. So something like this. This is the biggest humiliation of this person, and this is another enemy of Russian Federation, another person who was involved into the conflict between Ukraine and Russia since the beginning of the special military operation, as same as Joe Biden. I'll remind you that one of the person from their campaign, the ex-Prime Minister of United Kingdom, Boris Johnson, have been already dismissed from his position a few months ago, even a year ago or something like this. Another crazy person is coming from Germany. Today, Olaf Scholz talk a lot, and probably he's also getting crazy because of losing of his reputation. He's another ally of Joe Biden. He's another member of the team of Ursula von der Leyen, Joe Biden, Boris Johnson, and Olaf Scholz is the first person of this campaign. And today he also talked a lot, and he talked first of all that the Ukrainians managed to has already liberated half of the territory that Russia occupied since the beginning of the special military operation. He also told us that Russia has already lost control over the Black Sea, but this is not the most important. The most important is that Olaf Scholz is losing his power. He's losing his power, and currently he is trying to hold his power no matter what kind of price Germany is going to pay for this. And for example, today he told us that if the situation worsens due to the war in Ukraine, the government can declare a state of emergency in Germany and a state of war. So obviously, at least when talking about him, he is preparing for war, and obviously he's not going to give power to people, back to people. And if there is going to be a risk to return power to people or to somebody or someone else, he may declare a state of emergency in Germany and a state of war. So we see that the enemies of Russia are losing their power. They're losing, and sooner or later they will be replaced, as once Boris Johnson was replaced, and probably Zelensky will be replaced as well, because he also gave a small piece of madness and during the day. And for example, today Zelensky told us that people in the world, in Germany, in the United States of America, and in England, in Canada, shouldn't build roads, shouldn't, go to school, build cars. The only thing they need to do is to spend all their monies on weapons, drones, society, pensions, and because the world, the entire world, including Zelensky, have just one enemy, and this is Putin. So that was his words. Later, he added that according to Zelensky, because it's just only according to him, the Russians haven't managed to establish control over even a single Ukrainian city since the beginning of this year. Probably he is right, because as I understand, according to him, Bakhmut or Artyomovsk or Marinka are not the cities, are not Ukrainian cities. These cities probably Russians ones. So at least he confirmed this during the Fox News interview. Now we are moving to the south, and we got just another thing, important thing. Today we got more details about the yesterday's hacker attack, and the Russian hacker group Solntsepek, it's like the flamethrower system Solntsepek, took responsibility for a large full-scale hacker attack on the largest mobile operator in Ukraine, Kyivstar. They told us that they destroyed 10,000 computers, more than 4,000 servers, and all cloud storage and backup systems. Obviously, this is disaster for the Ukraine. This is a very big disaster, and that can bring Ukraine to unpredictable consequences. Now we are moving to the south, and also the Ukrainian border service published the information regarding the number of people they managed to capture on the border who was trying to cross the border illegally. Mainly they were talking about men who can serve in Ukraine army. Probably they wasn't mobilized and they wanted to become F-16 let's say pilots or drivers of Challengers and Leopards, so they tried to do this like not like according to the standards, according to entire Ukraine process. So that's why they were trying to cross the border. Who knows? Now we are moving to the situation on the ground, and we also have some updates and have some to talk about. The Russians continue clashes with the Ukrainians on the Krynky foothold. The Russians still haven't managed to force the Ukrainians to step back, but as we discussed many times, they're trying to do this very slowly. They're trying to allow the Ukrainians to send as many as possible forces on this area, and the Russians are using this foothold as a meat grinder of Ukrainian forces. According to information we have, as a result of clashes on Kherson direction during the previous 24 hours, the Ukrainians lost 30 soldiers. The Ukrainians haven't lost even a single armored vehicle and 3 artillery systems. The number of boats that were destroyed during the previous day is unknown. This number usually we receive at the end of the week when the Minister of Defense of Russian Federation provides us some like global total numbers for the previous week. During the 2 weeks ago, the Ukrainians lost up to 21 boats. So it's very interesting to understand whether the number of destroyed boats increased or not, because almost every single day we publish more and more videos of destroyed boats. It's like the most important number of destroyed boats to understand how long the Ukrainians are able to hold this foothold in the future. Now we are moving to Zaporozhye area. We got some interesting updates from this territory as well. The Russians continue counter-offensive operation on the western part of the village, and the sources are saying that as a result of counter-attack, the Russians managed to return positions and return control over some tree lines in the trenches. So anyway, the Russians are getting closer and closer to village itself, and there are very high chances that maybe even this year the Russians will make first attempts to attack the village itself and to try to force the Ukrainians to step back from the stronghold. When talking about Verbove, the Russians continue FPV drone bombardments of Ukrainian infantry. We're not going to watch this video due to a significant number of Ukrainian losses and very difficult scenes to watch. Now we're moving to the south, Donetsk direction. We continue receiving significant of updates. Sometimes during the day I had the feeling that Ukraine front line in this area collapsed completely, that Ukrainians are running away and leaving their positions, but for now, just based on the Russian Telegram channels and Russian messages and Telegram channels, the only geolocated video we have is the Russian flank in the western part of Marinka, which confirms almost 98% control of the village. We have discussed already in the previous video what does it mean 98% and what exactly the Russians still need to do to establish full control. And during the day we got some updates that the Russians, after a very short operational pause, like few hours, launch full-scale offensive operation in direction of 2 cities or 2 villages. The first one is Pobeda, and by the end of this evening, but before they start making this video, we start receiving updates about very heavy clashes and fierce battles inside of the village, but without any geolocated confirmations. Maybe tomorrow we're going to receive some. Furthermore, the Russians are saying that they launch full-scale offensive operation in direction of Novomikhailivka from the north. There are also some progress on this territory, and some mappers have already updated their map, showing that the Russians, according to Russian sources on the ground, established control over these territories. So they are managed to maintain and shorten the front line, and so on. And I'll remind you one important thing. If you remember, a few days ago, right before the entire Marinka area collapsed, we got the video from this territory from the Ukrainian forces. And if you remember, I told you that these guys were saying that they've been serving in Marinka direction since the beginning of the special military operation for the previous 18 months and without any replacements and rotations, and they required and demanded Ukrainian military authority to replace them, not just with the regular soldiers, let's say some from Zhytomyr or Lvov. They required and demanded to be replaced with the golden kids, with the kids of businessmen, of I don't know, of the people in parliament and so on. So with the golden kids who currently take a rest and relax somewhere in the west and on the coast and the shores of different seas and oceans. So, and after that video, the entire front line collapsed. Probably Zelensky called this guy and told them that you will not be replaced by the golden kids, and these guys took a decision to leave everything, and they basically dropped their positions. And after that, we start receiving updates about the collapse of Western Marinka, about the clashes in Pobeda, and about the Russian significant progress on the north of Novomikhailivka. The same story about the southern direction. Some sources are saying that there is also another attempt to attack in direction of Novomikhailivka itself. Obviously, something tells me that soon this entire front line can be collapsed. Now we are moving to Avdiivka, and we got also a lot of very interesting updates. I have updated the map according to the Ukrainian sources that confirms Russian progress and Russian controls over these three lines, which is significant progress from the Russian side. Anyway, we haven't received, as you can see, even a single geolocation from Stepova, Petrovska, but we have some geolocations along the railways. The Ukrainian FPV drones were bombing and attacking the concentration of Russian forces. We will not watch this video due to significant losses and significant number of dead bodies. And when talking about the northern flank of this territory, we see that the Russians were bombing and attacking and shelling this territory heavily. Probably we may consider this video and these scenes as the beginning or artillery preparation before the beginning of Russian offensive operation in this area, because the last offensive operation exactly in the northern direction that took place probably 2 weeks ago, and 2 weeks is enough to regroup. It's enough operational pause, and now the Russians probably managed to restore their forces, and now they will try or renew their offensive operation further to the north. When talking about southern direction, if you remember, we discussed that the Russians, according to many sources, the Russians managed to enter, let's say, the southern part of Avdiivka, but yet I haven't updated the map. And you know that now I got some geolocated confirmations that can give us a right to update the map, but not in Russian favor, to tell the truth, because today the Ukrainian sources publish a very fresh video of movements of the Ukrainian soldiers inside of residential area by the name of Vinogradniki. Obviously, this event took place maybe today, this morning, or yesterday. Anyway, this is the fresh video. This is the only video from this territory that confirms the Ukrainian control. This video was geolocated, so this is the real position, not something created, not like a fake, and we see significant number of Ukrainian infantry who is moving from one side to another. One source reported that this is the video of how the Ukrainians were withdrawing their position. So maybe the Ukrainians left this territory, who knows? And according to that video, we can have the right to change this map and to mark this triangle at least in the gray zone, or even to color this territory in yellow, because we have real proofs of Ukrainian presence in this area. For now, I'm not going to change anything, because there was an update that probably it was the video of Ukraine withdrawing positions. We need more time, and if the video of such a type we're gonna see more, then I will update the map, obviously. According to the Ministry of Defense of Russian Federation, as a result of clashes on Donetsk direction, the Ukrainians lost 250 soldiers, 6 armored vehicles, including 2 tanks and 1 Bradley, and 5 artillery systems. When talking about Bakhmut area, Artyomovsk direction, we have lots of updates, and one of the most important one, obviously, is the very furious and heavy clashes inside of this residential area. The Russians managed to establish control, according to some source. At least Syriac map has already updated his map, showing that this territory is under complete Russian control. For now, when talking about real proofs in geolocations, we have just one confirmed geolocation of Russian presence just in this square. So for now, I'm not planning to change the color of entire territory, because the Russians need at least some time to dig in deeper, but this small triangle, this small square, will be colored in Russia in red color. Furthermore, we got some updates from Klishchevka, as if you remember, we discussed that as a result of offensive operation, the Russians managed to establish control over the most important hill of this territory, over the hill 215.7, this territory. And today the Ukrainians published the first geolocation from their side, how they were storming the Russian positions. Now the Russian positions. These are 2 Ukrainian soldiers who were storming the Russian trenches stronghold. There was probably 1 Russian soldier on this fortification, and the Ukrainians were trying to capture this territory. This is also a fresh video that was was published just today. I can't tell you for sure whether the Ukrainians managed to return control over this stronghold or not, but we are using this video to geolocate the Russian presence and to confirm the Russian presence in the 215.7 hill. Furthermore, when talking about Bogdanovka, we got from Bakhmut direction at least few videos of FPV drone strikes. The Russians have some certain control over this territory. They are not allowing the Ukrainians to make a normal rotation, to send supply support in this area. So everything is under complete Russian control, and the Russians continue advancing. They're attacking the Ukrainians with Lancet, with artillery. They don't have limits. They don't have problem. The only problem they have is that Scholz probably is going to declare a third world war, and that's it. But it's not on the ground. It's not on Klishchiivka. It's very far from this territory. Now we are moving to the northern flank of this area, to Soledar direction. We got a lot of very interesting updates. First of all, I have updated the map along the railways to this interception. The Russians have complete control over this territory, and now the Russians are trying and planning to develop their positions in two directions. First of all, they're planning to move along this tree line to the west, trying to encircle Vysyoly from the north, and the Russians are planning to continue movements along the railways in direction of Vyimka. This is the village Vyimka. Furthermore, the Russians, according to information we have, during the previous days managed to capture the fields between Razdolovka and Vysyoly, and we have geolocated proofs of that. This is some kind of artillery preparation. After this artillery preparation, the Russians launched the ground operation and they captured this territory. So when talking about this territory, we can add some arrows as well. And the main goal in the main Russian direction is to dig in deeper between two defense belts, like Razdolovka, the first one, and Vysyoly, the second one. So these are the most important fortifications and strongholds area under Ukraine control. And if the Russians can capture these two villages, obviously the entire front line will collapse automatically. And today we got another interesting video. That video was published by the Ukrainian sources. This is the video. We will not watch the complete video because there were no casualties, as I remember. On this video, we can see how the Ukrainian FPV drone was bombing the Russian forces along this tree line. This video was geolocated. So that means that as a result of offensive operation that took place, that been taking place during the previous few days, the Russians managed to first of all to cross the river, because there is a river in this area by the name of Vasyukovka. This is the river Vasyukovka, and to establish control over these tree lines. So this is the third Russian offensive direction in this area, from Sakov-on-Seti in direction of Fyodorovka. So now, according to all these areas, we see that the Russians do have some certain plans regarding Siversk direction, and the Russians started the implementation of these plans. The Russians are attacking from Soledar direction in direction of Fyodorovka, from Yakovlevka Soledar in direction between Razdolovka Vysyoly, from Bilogorovka along the railways in direction of Vyimka, trying to encircle Vysyoly, and obviously sooner or later, I believe that sooner than later, the Russians will intensify their activity in direction of Sporne. So this is the fourth Russian direction, at least on Soledar area. And based on this, we see that the Russians are trying to create at least three cauldrons in this area. The first cauldron is Sporne cauldron, the second cauldron Vysyoly cauldron, and the third cauldron Razdolovka. So, and by attacking in during four directions, starting from Vasyukovka to the Verkhnyi Kamyanka. So this is the current operation on Soledar direction. Obviously, the next days we are going to receive more and more updates from this sector. When talking about Lyman area, as you can see, we haven't received even a single geolocation, just the numbers from the Ministry of Defense. According to information we have, the Ukrainians lost 100 soldiers, 3 armored vehicles. I have updated the map. And now I showed this territory under Ukraine control. If you remember, a few days ago we discussed those days we were talking about the Ukraine progress and geolocated videos of Ukraine attacks. So basically, Tarskoye salient is the only area where the Ukrainians do have at least small but success, and their success is on the line between Yampol Dibrovo. They're trying to bypass Dibrovo from the north to cut the main supply road that the Russians used to support their forces from Crimea on Tarskoye salient, and to cut Dibrovo from the mainland. So this is a small tactical operation by the Ukrainian forces, but for now they did have results in the past, but it's not enough to complete this mission. They need more. Now we're moving to Kupyansk area. We got some updates from this territory as well. The most important updates are coming from Ivanovka, Yagidna, Orlyanka. For the previous 2 weeks, there was a small operational pause, no updates, and now we see 2 updates in a row. On this video, we can see on this fresh video based on the snow and the entire picture, the Ukrainians sent the tank to fire position, but the Russians managed to discover that tank on the move, and as a result of FPV drone strike, that T-64 was destroyed. And also the Russians published another video from Kislovka, Kotlarovka. On this video we can see how the Russians were trying to make a reconnaissance operation above the village. They managed to discover a building, and they managed to discover a smoke. There is a smoke that goes from the basements of the building, that the Russians made the conclusion that this is the area, this is a temporary position of Ukrainian forces, and basically they destroyed that building as a result of artillery fire. So nothing special, just to clarify and to confirm the current positions either of Russian and Ukrainian forces on this direction. When talking about Sinkovka, nothing special, no updates from this territory. Another video of Udai diary, day 27th. The day 27th day started at 177 losses, and that day, the previous 24 hours, ended with the level of losses of 185. So basically, just for 27th day, the Ukrainians lost 8 more soldiers as a result of attack of just 1 FPV drone operator. The number are crazy, I agree. And we are going to move to Moscow, and we will finish this video with updates that are coming from the capital of Russian Federation. Probably the most important update is that Russia has stable growth of GDP, and according to information we have, the Russia's third quarter GDP growth confirmed at 5.5%. It's significant numbers, and probably Russia is one of the most powerful economies in the world, and probably one of the countries that hasn't suffered from the special military operation and being involved in the special military operation. So the numbers are fantastic, obviously. And the most important update is that tomorrow they're going to be the greatest speech of Putin, 14th December of 2023. Probably the entire world is going to follow Putin with his speech. Usually he has this speech every single year in December of each year, but he missed that speech in 2022 because of special military operation, because there were problems. The Russians just left the Ukraine counter-offensive operation, they lost Kupyansk direction and so on. They were forced to step back from Kherson, and today the Russians managed to achieve significant results, and I believe that Putin has a lot to talk about, and he's going to do this. So we are waiting for a lot of very interesting updates from tomorrow. And that's it for today. Military Summary channel reminds to condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, share my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.